was dumb and internationally divisive, but the president says it accidentally gave him more powers. Trump said the court ruled the U.S. cannot charge license fees on foreign countries. However, he said the court approved other tariffs. He added, they can now be applied in a, quote, powerful and obnoxious way with legal certainty. Trump accused the court of making a poor decision for the wrong people, while also highlighting what he called ongoing threats from China and other nations. He emphasized the ruling strengthens his authority to use tariffs against countries he says have long taken advantage of the United States. In another post, Trump said any countries that wanted to play games with the U.S. trade deals would face much higher tariffs. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer says none of the trading partners that struck deals with the Trump administration have indicated intentions to withdraw. NTD's Daniel Monahan has more on that, plus reactions from key administration members.
Trade Representative Jamieson Greer said he spoke with his counterpart from the European Union over the weekend, as well as officials from other countries. The trade rep says the deals were not premised on whether or not the emergency tariff litigation would rise or fall. Greer says Congress has delegated enormous tariff-setting authority to the president over the years, speaking on CBS News' Face the Nation.
So even though the Supreme Court struck down tariffs under one authority, tariffs under other national security elements remain in place.
Greer defended tariffs, saying they help negotiate trade deals, reshore critical industries, and attract billions in new investments on U.S. soil.
We expect to have continuity in the president's tariff program. We know that these laws work, they're tried and true, and so we'll have continuity. The policy hasn't changed, just the tools have changed.
Greer also criticized the SCOTUS decision.
It's foreign companies that are benefiting from the tariffs being struck down.
Meanwhile, the European Commission said yesterday it wants full clarity from the United States after the Supreme Court tariff ruling. Following the ruling, President Trump announced a 10% global tariff under Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974, before increasing it to 15% following a detailed review of the court's decision. Under a trade agreement reached last July, the United States agreed to cap tariffs on most EU imports to 15%. In return, the EU agreed to eliminate tariffs on all U.S. industrial goods. It also agreed to increase purchases of military and defense equipment from the United States. Switzerland commented on the tariff ruling, saying it should prepare for the likelihood that U.S. tariffs will remain in place permanently. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the SCOTUS ruling was a very narrow ruling in terms of the president's ability to use emergency powers to collect revenues, speaking on Fox News.
The Supreme Court said the president can put in a full embargo, but he cannot collect $1. So the president still has the most draconian measure for negotiations.
Bessent says Treasury projections show 2026 revenues from tariffs are unchanged, and that applies to the future as well.
The president announced on Friday and then amended over the weekend 15% global tariff using a very robust authority from 1974. Those will be layered on with Section 232, Section 301, and the 122s, they run for 150 days.
Bessent says during that time, studies will be done, which will likely lead to increased tariff revenues. The Supreme Court did not address potential tariff refunds. They remanded it back to the lower court. Bessent says the administration will follow their future legal rulings. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
Major U.S. trading partners are reacting to the Supreme Court's tariff ruling and President Trump's latest 15% tariff. The European Parliament today postponing a vote on its trade deal with the U.S.
But this means not that we never vote on that. No, we want to have clarity about the situation. We want to have clarity from the United States that they are respecting the deal, because that's a crucial element, that we want to have stability. That's for trade relations important, but this is for specifically important for investment.
The U.S. and the EU reached the trade deal in July. The EU was scheduled to vote on it tomorrow, but now says it's unclear if there will be additional measures or how the U.S. will guarantee the deal is upheld. Meanwhile, the UK says it does not expect Trump's new tariffs to impact the majority of its trade deal with the U.S. The UK expects discussions between the two sides to continue this week. Officials are not ruling out the possibility of retaliatory tariffs. China, meanwhile, is making a full assessment of the latest tariff upheaval. The regime says it wants the U.S. to lift unilateral tariffs. The son of Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner pleaded not guilty today to